Humans don't want to die because deep in their hearts they know that they have not finished what they were born to start. That's why they don't want to die when they have discovered their purpose and have fulfilled their destiny. They welcome death. Death never threatens a human who discovers their purpose. Everyone comes to Earth, but they decide how much of themselves are manifested. Your future is not ahead of you. Your future is trapped within you. God will never put the future ahead of anything because He is finished. You came into this world with your end in your beginning. Let me repeat, your future is not ahead of you. Your future is trapped within you. God will never put the future ahead of anything because He is finished. You came into this world with your end in your beginning. Let's go back in time to remember when you were a child. Do you remember you believed everything you thought? Then you started growing old and they told you that your thoughts were unrealistic. You should come back to reality and that you should stop daydreaming. You can never be a mayor or a CEO or own a business. They tell you all kinds of things, that you should settle down and be a bus driver. These are dream killers talking to you all your life. First, it began with our parents. They will tell you, my child, just go to school and get a job that will pay you well. Who you are is the thing you thought of first. That's why you are depressed. You are not help on your job because you are going to do something you are not. That is why Jesus said, except you become like a little child again, you cannot enter my kingdom. We became adults too fast, so I tell you, pick up your childhood dreams again. That's who you are. The last thing the enemy wants you to know is your purpose. The enemy of right is not wrong. The enemy of right is good. So, the enemy distracts you with good things. That's why you have a job but never find your work, meaning your purpose. The government and city told you to get a job. Firstly, they train you to get a job. And they hire you to get a job. And then they retire you from their job, or they fire you from their job. There's a saying by Dr. Miles Monroe, my mentor. There's a big difference between your job and your work. Your job is what they pay you to do, but your work is what you are born to do. Your job gives you finances, but your work gives you fulfillment. You can be fired from your job, but you can never be fired from your work. Your job is your skills, but your work is your gift. They can take your job, but they can never take your work. The stress the job is giving you is causing you to have high blood pressure, diabetes, depression, and cancer. But when you find your work, it gives you life. Your purpose preserves you. Purpose and destiny. The laws for personal success. Success is something that every human wants. Everybody wants to succeed. For you to succeed in life, there are 5 questions you must answer, and every human being on earth is trying to answer this question right now, including the person watching this video right now. These 5 questions control the human race. These 5 questions motivate everything you do. These 5 questions are so powerful that they create everything on this planet that humans do. These 5 questions are the source of all of your problems. They are the sources of all the crime in your countries. They are the sources of all your broken homes and divorce. They are the source of every problem humans face in this life. You are watching this video because of these 5 questions. These are the 5 questions. Who am I? This is a question of identity. Where am I from? This question is a question for your source, not ethnicity. Why am I here? Question for purpose. What can I do? Question for potential. Where am I going? This is a question for destiny. The first question is, who am I? This is the question of identity. Most people have never asked or answered this question because it is a frightening question. For example, you wear Christian Dior, you don't wear yourself. You wear Armani, you don't wear yourself. You wear Gucci, you don't wear yourself. These are people and their brand because you haven't got an identity. You want to be like them. People are in gangs killing each other to wear a Nike shoe or a Rolex watch, trying to get an identity. You want to dress like other people, that's why you follow the style of the day, because you have no identity. So you try to keep up with other people's style. That is why you have it difficult to answer this question, who am I? Know this: you are not a junkie. Don't ever let anybody throw you away. When God looks at you, He sees things that everybody else ignores. You are worth so much that Jesus went to Calvary to salvage and reclaim you. The Spirit of God connected to your spirit is the only true judge of your worth. Don't accept the opinions of others because they do not see what God sees. God looked and saw. God looked at Adam and saw a world. He looked at Abraham and saw nations. In Jacob, a deceiver saw a Messiah. In Moses, the murderer, God saw a deliverer. God saw a king in a shepherd boy. You are probably the one God is waiting for in the house. God sees things deep within you that others can't see. They look at you and see a nobody. God looks at you and sees a worthwhile somebody. You may spend your whole life competing with others, trying to prove that you are somebody and still feel like nobody. Be free from that today. You do not have to live with that any longer. You don't have to try to be somebody, because you are somebody. Look at the inventor, not the invention. Never use the creation to find out who you are, because the purpose of something is only in the mind of the one who made it. That is one of the reasons why God has a tremendous problem with idol worship. How can you identify your ability by worshiping a snake? How dare you believe that your purpose for existence can be discovered in a relationship with a wooden statue? You will never know yourself by relating to the creation, only to the Creator. The key to understanding life is in the source of life, not in the life itself. The automobile is tearing out lampposts all over the world and destroying people's homes and lives. But Mr. Ford, who first developed the assembly line to mass produce the automobile, never thought about it that way. He was thinking about transporting people and helping the human race to become a mobile community. He started us thinking about trolleys and trains and buses. The many people who died through accidents and derailments were not part of his intention. They were not in his mind when he designed his famous T. Ford automobile. Stop believing what others say. Too often we believe the lies we are told. We believe that we are no good and worthless. Jesus says, "Not so. I came to show you that you are more than you think you are. You are the image of God." Remember that the seed of every tree is in the fruit of the tree. The answer is right inside of us. It's our attitudes that make the difference. No one can make you rowdy, careless, or thoughtless. You are rowdy and careless and thoughtless because you choose to be. So, stop it. Stop being rowdy. Stop being careless. Stop being thoughtless. Only you can control how you act. You've got the potential to be considerate and sensitive. Many times, God is in disagreement with the people closest to you. He may even be in disagreement with you because the only person God agrees with is Himself. Only He knows your true potential. Have you failed? Go to God. He'll call you success and keep calling you success until you feel it. What does God see in you? I wonder what God sees as He walks around you. I'm sure He sees beautiful things in you. But you are believing what other people are saying. People say, "You are no good. You'll never be somebody." But God is saying, "I see a jewel. We are diamonds in the rough." Just keep on believing that. Keep on moving forward to your goal. Remember that there is something in you more precious than what others have said about you. The second question is, where am I from? This question has nothing to do with your ethnicity. If you try to find out where you are from by using your ethnic heritage, you would get lost. The problem with the question is you can never know who you are until you find out where you are from. That's why you battle with this, where am I from? Note this. The potential of a thing is related to its source. Everything in life was created with potential and possesses the potential principle. Creation abounds with potential because the Creator Himself is the potential principle. When we describe God, we often say He is omnipotent. Omnipotent means that God is always potent, made up of two words, omni, meaning always, and potent, meaning full of power, and omnipotent meaning that God is potentially everything. He has within Him the potential for all that is, was, or ever will be. He is omnipotent or omnipotent. Know this: everything comes from God. Everything that was, and everything that is, was in God. That's a very important concept. Everything that was and is, was in God. We have to start with God. Before God made anything, before He created things, there was only God. So, before anything was, God is. God is the root, or source, of all life. In God was the beginning. The Bible tells us, in the beginning, God. That means before there was a beginning, there was God. Therefore, God began the beginning. And verse 0 of the first chapter of Genesis might read, in God was the beginning. Everything that is, was in God. Everything that has ever been made was made by God. The invisible became visible. In the beginning, God was pregnant with the universe, and all things were made by Him. But how did these things come out of Him? How was the universe formed? All things were formed at God's command. He spat them out, puff. From the invisible came the visible. Things that are seen come from unseen things. By faith, God spat out what was in Him. Everything in Him started to come forth. What we now see was birthed by God from what was invisibly within Him. Whatever you see came from the unseen. Nothing exists that was not at some time in God. Thus, faith is not the evidence of things that do not exist. It is the evidence of things that are not yet seen. Everything we see has always been. It became visible when God spoke it into being. God is the source of life. The work of creation is not yet complete. The work of God is not complete. He has not delivered all His babies. He will keep on delivering as long as you deliver, because you are the continuation of His deliveries. God can still create. When you ask for something in prayer, God doesn't have to shift things around because He is going broke. If it doesn't exist in a visible form, God will speak it. He'll do whatever is necessary. He continues to be pregnant with many things. Because all things are in God, you can ask God for anything. An idea is around in God for a long time before it comes out. Nothing we think or do is new. Ecclesiastes 1 verses 9. Everything that has been done will be done again. What we think is new has already been here for a long time. The third question is why I am here. This question is for a purpose. Why was I born? Most of us have not answered this question. If you feel good about yourself, you will feel good about other people. In other words, only after you see yourself as a worthwhile person can you appreciate others as worthwhile people. That's a very important insight because many people do not feel good about themselves. They look at themselves and wonder why God made them, or they doubt that anyone can find any good in them. But remember, God sees what others and we can't see. God looks at us and sees that we are worth feeling good about. We are special to God. We are valuable and important. Know this: God planned your life. The crowning work of creation came on the sixth day when God created human beings. As He looked around Him, God pronounced His creation to be good. That includes you. God looked at the man and the woman He had made and declared them to be very good. Remember this: you are not a mistake. You are here because God wanted you to be born. God has a book on you. God offers you a rewrite. Not the limits off your life. The concept of Mark chapter 11 is that if you ask anything, if you can believe what you desire hard enough, God says it will be done. Too often we are not willing to believe like God defines believe. God does not say, everything is possible if you get the idea. Things don't become reality because we have an idea. We have to believe in the idea. We have to believe we can do it by committing ourselves to it, abandoning ourselves to it, even if it costs us our lives. That's what it takes to believe in the Lord Jesus Christ, to lose our lives, to abandon ourselves. We must say, I'm going to go into eternity believing in Jesus. I'm not sure what's out there, but I'm going to ride on that name and that atonement. Remember this: everything is possible if you abandon yourself to an idea enough that you are willing to lose your life for it. From thought to action. A thought is a silent word, so a word is an exposed thought. Everything in life starts in the thought form. It's a thought first. After it's said, it is no longer a thought. It becomes a word. The next step is an idea. An idea is the concept of the thought. It has moved into a reality. Ideas are potentials. The third level of operation is what I call imagination. Imagination changes an idea into a plan. If you have an idea, it can come and go. But if an idea develops into an imagination, it means the idea has become a plan. It is still not written or drawn, but it is in your head. Imagination is therefore a plan that is not documented. It is a visual display of your thoughts and ideas. If you want to be successful in life, take your ideas and turn them into imagination. Then take imagination and duplicate it physically. Put it down. Let it become a plan of action. Make plans. Set goals. God wants us to become people who have plans. He says, use your imagination. I won't give you a thought if you can't do it. If you think it, I'm ready to do it. Plans are documented imaginations. If you can document an imagination, you've developed an action plan. God created you to change the world. He carefully designed a plan for your life that allows you to share in His work of creation. Because you were made in God's image, you share His potential to be and do much more than is visible now. Everything you see was originally thought in the mind of God, an invisible idea that God worked into sight. Make a plan. Give yourself something to be motivated toward. As you dream, think, imagine, and plan who you want to be, you will begin to see why God created you and the work He has designed you to do. You are destined by God to reveal His glory, His very nature. Fourth question is, what can I do? This is the question of potential, meaning what is my true power? This question is important because who you are has never been discovered. What you are settling for disappoints your Creator. So, don't believe anything people tell you about you because they told you cannot be good at anything. Some people are still living under exams they took 20 years ago. You believe in what people tell you because you don't believe in yourself, and I'm telling you to trust no man and believe in yourself. A man cannot discover new oceans unless he dares to lose sight of the shore. Too often we fail in our efforts because we have been brought up believing that we cannot do some things. The people who change the world are people who have taken the impossible out of their dictionaries. The men and women who make changes in history are those who come against the odds and tell the odds that the odds can stop them. Our potential is not limited to doing some of the things God asks us to do. We can do all things, whatever we believe and desire to do for God. We can do this because the ability to do so is already deposited in us. The basis for this deposit of Christ's ability goes back to God's work in creation. Your potential is as great as God's potential because when God wanted you, He spoke to Himself. When He wanted plants and animals, God spoke to the ground. But when He wanted human beings, God spoke to Himself. You came out of God. Thus, the limit of your potential is God. Know this. The demands of the Creator. Genesis chapter 1 also teaches us that potential is determined by the demands made on it by the Creator of it. The potential of a thing is determined by the demands made on it by the one who made it. A creator will not call forth from his creation something he did not put into it. For example, The Ford Motor Company wanted to build a car with an engine that was supposed to have a certain degree of horsepower to get up to 200 miles per hour. They would create a car with enough spark plugs and pistons and other things to run at that speed. First, they would design it. Then they would build it. Finally, they would hire a professional to take it on a test track to clock its speed. Because they designed and built the car to run at 200 miles per hour, they would tell the driver, "Run this car until it hits 200 miles per hour." Now how can they demand from that car 200 miles per hour? Simple. They built into the car the ability to produce 200 miles per hour. If all other cars can only go 198 miles per hour, they have reason to believe their car will go into a race and win. They are calling forth from the car, or demanding of it, what they created it to produce. God's money-back guarantee. God also graciously offers you a money-back guarantee. When you buy an appliance, a manual usually comes with it that says, "Read this before you hook it up." It also says, "You've just purchased a television that can do XYZ. You've never seen the television do that before, but the manual says it can and will because the manufacturer made it possible for it to do it." At the end of the manual, there is usually a little phrase that says, "If there is any defect, return the merchandise to the manufacturer for a free replacement." The manufacturer is guaranteeing the potential of the thing. God mercifully says to you, if there are any defects, return to the manufacturer. Isn't that a blessing? If you aren't working out, take your stuff back to the chief. The chief will work it out. "Come unto me," God says. "I'm the only one who can fix you." God already has guaranteed what you can do. If you think it, you can do it. You have a deposit of God's ability. Any person who sets a limit on what he can do also sets a limit on what he will do. No one can determine how much you can produce except you and God. So, there is nothing in this world that should stop you from accomplishing, realizing, fulfilling, and maximizing your full potential. Proverbs 23 verses 7 tells us, if you can conceive it, you can do it. God is trying to communicate that you can do anything you can think. You never think it, you can't do it. God allows you to think only what you can do. If He doesn't allow you to think it, He knows you can't do it. Think about the things you've been thinking about recently. The fact that you thought them means you can do them. Now don't get me wrong. Thinking doesn't get it done. Thinking implies you can do it. See yourself doing the thing in your thoughts. Make your thought into an idea, and your idea into an imagination. Take that imagination and document it into a plan. Then go to it. Of course, with the proper rest periods. Put your plan into action. If you thought it, you can do it. Don't let the world determine your potential. We have allowed the world around us to determine our potential. Teachers say to students, "You are a C student." The student then goes around believing that, and he becomes an average student for the rest of his life, an average person even. He becomes an average husband. She becomes an average wife. Your potential has nothing to do with those tests. Only God determines your potential. Your IQ is spelled HOLYSPIRIT. Your IQ is something that goes far beyond the pages of a test. It goes all the way to God. The last question is, where am I going? This is the question of destiny. Challenge your ability. Your ability needs responsibility to expose its possibilities. Do what you can with what you have where you are. Theodore Roosevelt. Challenge yourself. You aren't doing more because no one has challenged you. I want to take you from the mentality of waiting for people to challenge you and encourage you to challenge yourself. Don't wait for anybody to teach you how to jump. Jump by your challenge. Don't just look at life and say, well, I'm going to wait until a demand is made on me and then I will produce. Make a demand on yourself. Say to yourself, look, I am going to become the best in this area no matter what people have done before me. then go after that. You will accomplish it if you set out to do it. Don't wait to be challenged. God has promised that He can do far more than you can think or imagine. His power is available to you. Is that power working in you? Are you saying to God, I've got some power. Now work it for me. Give me something to do. God has given you a skill or ability the world needs. He has been waiting for your birth. Perhaps He planted within you a unique ability to work for life. Miracles happen when we give our potential responsibility. God designed it that way. Don't allow the things within you to die with you because you did not challenge them. God planted the seed of potential within you. He made you according to the potential principle like the rest of His creation. Don't waste that gift. Give your potential responsibility. Beat the odds. Men and women who make changes in history are those who have come against the odds and told the odds can stop them. Don't throw yourself away. Don't let anyone else throw you away because you are up against some odds. The minute we see somebody in a wheelchair, something happens to us. We think the person is half a person. We almost treat him as if we apologize for his condition. We look at people who are blind, who have a withered hand, who walk with a limp, who have only one arm as though they are half a person. We limit their potential to the wheelchair, the limp, the missing hand, or the short arm. We reduce everybody to their bodies. You are not your body. Some of the greatest minds in the world are in wheelchairs. I think about President Roosevelt in a wheelchair. Did you ever think an invalid could be the president of one of the greatest nations on earth? Suppose you end up in a wheelchair next year with all the brains you have right now. Will you quit? Is your dream related to your body? Don't say no too fast. Some of you would just quit and get totally depressed and so sad. You'd say, oh, life didn't work out for me, and you'd allow all the dreams you have right now to die in the chair. You'd simply quit. Don't give up because you are physically handicapped. Don't give up if you are facing great odds. Your potential is not determined by whether you can see the fine print of a book, walk across the street, or lift heavy objects with both hands. Your potential is not destroyed because your mother is an alcoholic, your father's a junkie, or you have no parents at all. Many people in wheelchairs have given up. Many people come from the wrong side of town or have a bad family situation and have given up. Don't be one of them. Beat the odds. Shortcuts don't work. There are no shortcuts to developing your potential. You will never know what you might have achieved if you use a crutch to get there. You'll never know what you may have learned if you get a degree without fulfilling the requirements. You will never know what you can do if you attempt to obtain it by a shortcut. Shortcuts negate potential. They destroy the possibilities God planted within you. Demand something of your potential. Potential must be exercised to be fulfilled. Demands must be made on potential if it is to be released and fulfilled. God has given you potential. Unless you make demands on it, you will die with it. Unless you venture to try things you've never done before, you'll never experience the wealth that lives within you. Decide today, I'm going to do something I've never done before. There are many people with great ideas, but they have no desire to try. There are 4 steps to the accomplishment of your dream. Prepare prayerfully, plan purposefully, proceed positively, pursue persistently. Failure is the path of least persistence. Don't be afraid to try. The poorest of men are men without a dream. Don't be so afraid of failure that you refuse to try. Demand something of yourself. Failure is only an incident. There's more than the failure, there's success deep behind that failure. Failure is the opportunity to more intelligently begin again. When you fail, that is a great chance to start again. Learn from it and move on. Don't be paralyzed by the failure. One good thing about failure is that it is proof that you tried. The greatest mistake you can make is to be afraid of making one. People who do nothing in life are usually people who do nothing. People who don't make mistakes in life are usually people who didn't have a chance to make any because they never tried. Challenge your potential. Demand things of yourself that are beyond what you have already done. Expect more from yourself than the accomplishments that are easily within your reach. What you have is not all you are. The limit of your potential is God. It is better to attempt a thing and fail than to never try and not know you could succeed. 10 keys to releasing your potential. At this point, you must be aware of the tremendous wealth of potential locked away inside of you, crying out for exposure and fulfillment. I believe you have heard the voices of your childhood dreams and the many visions, goals, and plans you once had screamed out for resurrection. Now the big question remains: how do I release this potential? Key 1. You must know your source. You must understand the nature, composition, and consistency of your source, because this is the key to understanding the potency of your potential. If you, for example, had a wooden table in your house, you would be aware that the table is made of wood from a tree. The strength, durability, and nature of the table can only be as strong and durable as the tree. If the tree is weak, the table will be the same. Therefore, the potential of the table is determined by the potential of the source from which it came. The same is true for you. To understand how much potential you possess, you must understand the source from which you came. A manufacturer's product must remain related to its source to be maintained and supplied with genuine parts and authorized service. It is this relationship that manufacturing companies call the warranty/guarantee agreement. The same relationship exists between God and man. God guarantees the maximum performance of our potential if we remain related to Him and submit to the conditions, specifications, and standards set by Him. A personal relationship with our Creator is a necessary key to the releasing of our full potential. Key 2. You must understand how the product was designed to function. Every manufacturer designs, develops, and produces his product to function in a specific manner. Automobile manufacturers design their products to function with gasoline, spark plugs, batteries, pistons, oil, water, etc. No matter what you do, if you do not supply the elements required for the operational function of the product, it will not perform and maximize its potential. God created man and designed him to function like he does. You and I were created to function by faith and love. Without faith, it is impossible to please God. These are the fuels on which we run. That which is not of faith is a sin for us. They just live, operate by faith. Our potential cannot be released without faith and love. Fear and hatred cause the short circuit of our potential. Key 3. You must know your purpose. Every product exists for a specific purpose. That reason is the original intent of its existence, the purpose for which the manufacturer made it. This is an essential key because the purpose for which something is made determines its design, nature, and potential. God created you and gave you birth for a purpose. Whatever that purpose is, you possess the potential to fulfill it. No matter how big the dream God gave you, your potential is equal to the assignment. Purpose gives birth to responsibility, and responsibility makes demands on potential. Key 4. You must understand your resources. All manufacturers provide access to the necessary resources for the proper maintenance, sustenance, and operation of their products. Resources and provisions are to help sustain the product while its potential is being maximized. God, in His great wisdom, provided for human beings tremendous material and physical resources to sustain and maintain us as we proceed in realizing, developing, and maximizing our potential. Resources were created to live on and with, but never for. We are never to worship the resources. nor are we to become controlled by them. Idolatry and substance and drug abuse are violations of the manufacturer's specifications and will lead to the destruction of potential. Key 5. You must have the right environment. Environment consists of the conditions that have a direct or indirect effect on the performance, function, and development of a thing. These conditions can be internal and external. Every manufacturer specifies the proper conditions under which he guarantees the maximum performance of the potential of the product. In the manual, the manufacturer will caution against violation of that specified environment for maximum performance. The right environment is the ideal conditions needed for the maximization of the true potential. God created everything to flourish within a specific environment. Plants, animals, and fish all need a specific environment to live. The potential is nullified, aborted, and destroyed when the environment is violated or disrupted. Staying with the wrong people is a bad environment. Key 6. You must work out your potential. Potential is dormant ability, but ability is useless until it is given responsibility. When God created man, He planted in him the potential to multiply and fill the earth and subdue, dominate, and rule the earth and everything in it. Man's potential was predetermined by this purpose. He had inside him all the potential necessary to fulfill the assignment, but he was not aware of his potential, even as you may not be aware of what you can do. Therefore, the first thing God gave man was not a wife, but work. Genesis 2:15. He made demands on the potential of man's mind by commanding him to name the animals, and stimulated the potential of his body by commanding him to cultivate the garden. God gave man insight into the potential of his spirit by commanding him to dominate the whole earth for God. Work is a major key to releasing your potential. Potential must be exercised and demands made on it. Otherwise, it will remain potential. Claiming a promise does not make it happen. You must apply the principle of work. The land was promised to Abraham, but he had to walk it out to possess it. Good ideas do not bring success. Good hard work does. To release your true potential, you must be willing to work. Key 7. You must cultivate your potential. Potential is like a seed. It is a buried ability and hidden power that needs to be cultivated. You must feed your potential the fertilizer of good positive company. Give it the environment of encouragement. Pour out the water of the Word of God, and bathe it in the sunshine of personal prayer. Read materials that stimulate your faith and nourish your dream. Key 8. You must guard your potential. It is tragic when a tree dies in a seed or a man dies in a boy. It is sad when what could have been becomes what should have been. With all the wealth of your potential, you must be careful to guard and protect it. The command to protect was among the first commands God gave to Adam. The Bible calls your potential a treasure in earthen vessels. You must guard your visions and dreams from sin, discouragement, procrastination, failures, opinions, distractions, traditions, and compromise. Satan is after your potential. Be on guard. Key 9. You must share your potential. God created the entire heavens and earth with the potential principle, which can only be fulfilled when it is shared. Nature abounds with this truth. The sun does not exist for itself. Plants release oxygen for us, and we give carbon dioxide to the plants. The bee receives nectar as it pollinates the flowers. No potential exists for itself. This is also true of man. True potential and fulfillment in life is not what is accomplished, but who benefits from them. Your deposit was given to enrich and inspire the lives of others. Remember, the great law is love. Key 10. You must know and understand the laws of limitation. Freedom and power are two of the most important elements in our lives. The potential is the essence of both. The potential is power. But freedom needs law to be enjoyed, and power needs responsibility to be effective. One without the other produces self-destruction. Every manufacturer establishes laws of limitations for his products. These laws are not given to restrict, but to protect, not to hinder, but to assist and guarantee the full and maximum performance of potential. God has set laws and standards to protect our potential and to secure our success. Obedience is protection for potential. All of these keys and principles are proven throughout human history to be true. Any violation of these laws limits the release and maximization of your potential. Commit yourself to obeying the manufacturer. Then watch your life unfold as you discover the hidden ability that was always within you. I love that you made it this far. I will be gladder and happier if you subscribe to my channel for more content like this. This is the message. Your success in life is you finding and working your purpose. Until you find it, you will never be satisfied.